Heroes, villains, a tale as old as time, and the never-ending battle to protect truth and justice from those who thrive on chaos and bloodshed. Come with us as we peel back the mask on your beloved Crusaders of Light and dive deep into the dark and twisted abyss of the most feared and hated harbingers of doom. Follow your host, Power Maximus, and everyone's favorite demigod, Lord Triage, as they take a trip down the rabbit hole that is everything super. So, are you a hero or a villain? Either way, find that super suit and suit up for the Super Breakdown.
What is up? What is up, everyone? We are back again in our Spooktober lineup. You already know what it is. You already know who it is. I am Power Maximus, the Conqueror, also known as the one, the only higher power. We're here with everyone's favorite demigod,
Lord Triage.
Triage. So yes, again, another spectacular episode. We are diving deep into the one, the only, Lawrence Talbot, the Wolfman.
Yeah, this one's gonna be a little different.
Yeah. It's definitely gonna be quite different. So I'm interested to get into this. One, because I have this sometimes well, when I was younger, an unhealthy interest in the werewolf and the Wolfman lore. So we gonna get into it. So as per usual, Lord Triage, take us away.
Okay, so we have a young Lawrence Talbot who returns home to his home in Wales in the year of 1891 after the death of his brother Ben Talbot. Now, the story varies depending on what version of the story you're reading of how Ben Talbot dies. Sometimes they go into detail how he did, sometimes they go into detail how he didn't. But from what we do know is that Ben Talbot was killed very gruesomely. Now, in the process of Lawrence investigating this, Lawrence comes across, and see, once again, this is also one of the things where it varies here. He comes across this woman named Gwen, and how Lawrence slowly starts to fall for her. She becomes his love interest while he's trying to mend fences with his estranged father. And then in the process of going through all this, the town is under attack by a werewolf. In my air quotations, because no one believes these things until the bodies pile up.
Mm-hmm.
So
I just want to point out there seems to always, in a lot of these stories, be some woman named Gwen. There's always a chick named Gwen. I'm just realizing,
really,
yeah. Anytime the fall of a hero, because it's a chick named Gwen.
oh my, what the? Hold on, if you go Miles Morales with this, I swear to God.
I'm just saying, man. If you look at it, just look at it, man. Fucking with well, hey, we can throw that in there. Well, with Peter, we can throw that in there as well. Like I just always, I don't know, man. To anybody out there, just not to be wild, but just maybe you might want to stay away from a chick named Gwen. If Shorty's name is Gwen, might want to keep your distance. You're probably gonna fail at life, and probably end up dying somewhere as well. So
Huh.
Lee Shorty's name Gwendolyn.
Okay. I mean, to each his own. I mean,
Oh man. Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. So
so in the process of him investigating his brother's death and trying to figure out what happened to him, he comes across all this local lore about about werewolves and how, you know, even a man who says his prayers by day may become a wolf when the wolf flame booms and the autumn moon is bright. So he takes all this shit, chalks it up to folklore, thinks it's a joke, until he winds up in a local establishment or a local area where the Wolfman winds up attacking. And then it's all hands on deck.
mm-hmm.
In the process of trying to fend off the wolf, Talbot is bitten, and then the fuckery unfolds.
Now the fuckery unfolds. For one, I want to point out I I've seen clips of the original Wolfman movie. I never was able to like go back and watch it fully myself.
I
Um,
I did once back in fifth grade.
Damn, that was a long time ago.
Yes, 2000 was 2001.
Damn, that was a long time ago. Um, sorry, had a Kevin moment, Don Cheetah moment.
Mm.
But I have, and I've watched it multiple times. The 2010 remake of The Wolfman with what was his name? Del Toro. Starts with
Benicio del Toro.
Benicio. I can never say his first name correctly. Benicio del Toro. And the legendary Anthony Hopkins. To me, it was an amazing fucking movie. It was an
Me
amazing
too.
wolf movie, dude. Like from the setting to the scenery to like I would rewatch that in black and white. Like if they released a black and white version of that movie, I'd rewatch it 10 times over.
Interesting.
Like the acting was grade A grade, like top of the class. I mean, it's an Anthony Hopkins movie. Like, it's always gonna be grade A. But then on top of that, just like the story that they told and the way they told the story, it truly felt like, you know what I mean? It really, how do I say, like it gave new life into an old mystery, into an old legend. And again, when I say old, I mean old, because legends of the werewolf go back centuries, back to like the Middle Ages, and even sometime before the Middle Ages, probably about like the earliest I know is about like 460 BC.
Woo.
Yeah, there's illustrations of, and different iterations of werewolves and or were beings in every single culture around the world, from the Middle Ages to the Native Americans to ancient Greece to it just it the list goes on.
And that
And
has been reflected a lot in cinema. Eh?
oh, you know what? And that's one. Actually, no, I would have to say that there's not a big variety, because a lot of times majority of the werewolf movies, and they center around the usual European Bisa Gévaudan storylines. um but there've been a few that have touched into different iterations, like the Lugaroo. We see that in the movie Blood and Chocolate, which it was an old movie. It's an older movie, kind of like early 2000s movie, and it was like really I wouldn't say it was grade A. It was kind of like a love romancy kind of thing.
Well, that's actually a book. So I'm not sure how close the story was from the end product.
Honestly, I've never read the book. Yeah, I never read the book. Um, but it was a short movie too, so it probably is as close to the book as possible. Um,
Mm.
but again, the one that I like the most is the story of King Lycaon of Arcadia. And that if that name rings a bell, Arcadians. If you go back, watch Scorpion King. The Rock played the last Arcadian or something like that. That was like his character. Um,
Correct.
so I don't know the story about the Beast of Gévaudan, but and that's where majority of the werewolf lore comes from. Um, and
Um,
and I believe that's where the Wolfman storyline is based off of as well.
I believe that someone got covered in the season of Teen Wolf.
Yeah, yeah. Well, even then, the Teen Wolf in general, like it's all, and again, it's like strongly based on the story of the Beast of Gévaudan, because the Argents are in Teen Wolf are descendant of the pretty much the werewolf hunter that hunted the Beast of Gévaudan.
Correct.
Um, but for me, like the story of the King of Arcadia, it's the stereotypical story. Zeus, he likes to play his little games, likes to test his followers and stuff like that. So the King Lycaon was super filthy rich king of Arcadia. And so Zeus decides that he's gonna test his metal and see how generous he really is.
He's gonna match
So
his meat.
wait, what?
Nothing but
I mean, meat definitely plays a big role in this. Not in the way y'all think. Not in the way y'all think. Well, I'm back. Not in the way y'all think. Not the way y'all think. But yeah. So when it comes to the King of Arcadia, pretty much Zeus shows up on his doorstep dressed as a lowly peasant, requesting and asking for help. Say, hey, yo, man, you got any food? Man, out here panhandling, trying to get some food or whatever. Um, and if memory serves me, he gets turned away multiple times, until uh, pretty much King Lycaon gets put on to the fact like, yo, this is actually Zeus. He's here trying to fuck with you. Lycaon didn't like that, so he's like, "Oh, all right, oh, okay. You trying to play games? All right, come on in. Don't worry, come on in. We'll feed you." So what Lycaon ends up doing is he ends up sacrificing his youngest son, and by I mean sacrifice, I mean Zeus. He ends up serving Zeus his youngest son. He kills his young. He has his older children kill their youngest son and serve him for dinner to Zeus. Zeus catches on to it, and as punishment, he's like, "Oh, okay, you like serving human flesh. You like eating human flesh. Bet." Strikes him and his sons down with the thunderbolt, bolt of lightning, and pretty much curses them to roam the land as wolves for the rest of their days. Revives the youngest son and makes him king. And
Mhm.
thus begins the tale of the werewolf in Greek mythology. We have the virus of lycanthropy is we can all they're also known as lichens, but that stems from Lycaon. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the man's name right. All right, these people live thousands, hundreds of thousands of years ago. I don't know. But yeah, that's the story that I love the most. Because I always like a good revenge story, and people getting their just desserts and their comeuppance. I love it. Um, but now again, we see this going on down the lines through the Middle Ages. Um, the and this is where a lot of the European um like folklore comes from. And even then, that the name from Teen Wolf, the name Gerard is is an actual person within these tales, especially with the Beast of Javadon, so on and so forth. Um, we all know there's the number one way to be turned into a werewolf is to get bitten or to get scratched, and that's how you catch the virus. Yeah, it's like a roaming, like very violent and bloody STD.
Jesus Christ.
But there's multiple other ways to turn into a werewolf. Like there's one lore that like if you drink rainwater out of a wolf's paw print in the mud underneath a full moon, you can become a werewolf that way. Um, what else? There's another one too. There's again another one. If you're eat the flesh of a human, or you can like make sacrifice, whatever. There's many different ways, but specifically this one way, Mans was out in a village helping out, and next thing you know, shit goes to hell. Motherfuckers start getting attacked by the Wolfman, and he ends up getting bitten, thinking nothing of it. And next thing you know, now the fuckery begins. So now he gets bitten. Now where do we go? Where do we go from here?
So Lawrence Talbot actually returned back to his family estate where he seek treatment from his doctors, his family's medical doctor, and in a short amount of time, his wound healed with very, very slight trace of injury. So while the doctor initially thought that this was extremely, extremely unorthodox, his father took it as a miracle, depending on the version of the story you're watching or reading, and basically moved on. Now, once again, and everything is fine until the next full moon.
Everything is fine until it's not fine.
Yeah. And then Lawrence himself tries to come to terms with what he's been turned into and what's happening, and whether or not he can either live his life or have to spend the next however many years or days on the run from this angry mob because these people who are more or less trying to lynch him.
Now, if we take a look at the movie aspect of it, he does eventually get found out, and he does eventually end up getting captured. Which I'll be honest, that is my favorite scene in the movie, where he ends up
breaks out of the asylum.
Yeah, he's at the asylum, and like he's in the middle, he's like in the floor in the middle of the room, and everyone's like on the rises around him.
Yes,
about to sentence him, and the full moon comes out over top of like the glass dome. Oh man, that scene is awesome. And then he starts turning right in front of everyone.
That's your ass. That's your ass, High Top.
Oh my god, that scene is just so great. Now from there, and again, he's still trying to figure things out because certain things aren't really making sense to him just yet. And then he, while going through his Wolfman transformations and stuff like that, he ends up finding out that his father is the one that is actually, in fact, the Beast.
In the remake, yes. In the original, no.
Okay, so what? So the remake, so the original, it pretty much ends with him pretty much running for his life and having to deal with the transformations for the rest of his life.
Well, he more or less is. So he is actually substantially killed. Excuse me if I said that correctly. By his father. His father actually bludgeons him to death with that walking stick that he was gifted. Now in the remake, he was given the walking stick with the silver wolf head as a gift as he was returning home from someone that he was sharing the train car with. Now in the original material, he actually bought that from an antique shop that his love interest Gwen worked at.
Mm.
So he's actually killed by being beat to death with the silver head of the walking stick. And then, like, as he turns back, his father, John, realizes that his son was this monster.
Mm.
Now, I'm not going to lie. I actually prefer the way they did it with Anthony Hopkins being the actual wolf that bit him.
Yeah, I did too. I feel like it adds an extra level of suspense and drama to it.
Right?
And then that werewolf fight at the end was fucking sick. That werewolf fight at the end was fucking nuts, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that it was highly entertaining. It was super fucking fun to watch graphically. And it was just super fun. Now, my question is, was this remake supposed to be a part of that really crappy monster universe that they were trying to do?
Yes, it was supposed to be that. I don't know how they were going to tie that together. I'm not sure what it was they were going with that. We're never going to find out. But
I don't know, because there's supposed to be another Frankenstein movie coming out.
I don't see. It's kind of hard, in my opinion, to do something like that. And I didn't understand what the point was supposed to be. Like, were they supposed to be like the classic monster version of the Avengers? Like, I didn't get it. Like, I didn't understand what the point of having that be a shared universe was. Like, they could do it and it could work, because it's like there is, like, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and then, like, we all know that there's been lore where vampires can only be killed by werewolves, and it's like shit. The whole Underworld series is based around that shit. So was Twilight. I mean, but my whole thing is like, I just don't get what the purpose that would have served was.
Honestly, yeah, because if they do that, then they would clearly, if they go Avenger style or like team up style, there has to be like a big bad to go along with it.
Hold on, switching gears real quick.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
I fucking love it. I actually recently rewatched it again with my fiance. I showed it to her, and she loved it. I thought that, because I thought that was the way that they were kind of gonna go. Because within the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, R.I.P. Sean Connery, fantastic movie, fantastic actor. I thought that was the way they're gonna go, because we see Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in there. We see
Right.
The Bride of Dracula.
Nina Harker.
Yep, Nina Harker, which I found that really interesting, because the Harkers go all the way back to like Bram Stoker's Dracula.
That's where she's from.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever watch the original Bram Stoker Dracula?
Not the original, no.
So you never seen the one where Gary Oldman was Dracula?
I think I have. I think I have. I'm not 100% sure, because again, I love vampire movies, but there hasn't been a good vampire movie in like a decade, 2 decades maybe. The last good vampire movie I watched was Dracula. Well, the last good Dracula movie I watched would actually have been on Netflix. BBC did a mini series called Dracula. It's like a 3-part mini series. Each episode, each part is like an hour and so minutes long. If you guys haven't watched that, dude, you gotta go watch that, dude. You gotta, bro. Oh my god, it's like in essence, Bram Stoker's Dracula, but then they took it to a whole nother level, my friend, a whole nother level. Like, it is, and it expands like damn near a millennia. The movie, the 3-part episode, like it starts in the classic Bram Stoker age. Starts with we see what was his name, James Harker.
Yes.
We see James Harker. We see that whole setup, that whole lineup.
In the original one, he's played by Keanu Reeves.
Holy shit! Damn! Wow, you're right.
Yeah, because Winona Ryder was Nina Harker.
Mm-hmm.
That movie actually had a lot of star power right now that I think about it.
Yeah, it really did, dude.
Shit. If memory serves me correctly, Anthony Hopkins was in that same movie as Van Helsing.
Mm-hmm. Yo, dude, come on, man. Come on, man. Like, with all the lore that they have, they could definitely do you know, one, I just want to shout out to the first 3 Underworld movies, which would be Underworld, Underworld 2, and then Rise of the Lycans. Those 3 movies were fantastic. Anything past that, just throw it in the trash.
Well, I actually rewatched Awakening last week. The idea was sound. Them cutting Scott Speedman out was what made that movie not work.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, you're cutting out real bad.
I said I rewatched that last one like a week or so ago, and I said the principle, like the idea of the movie was solid.
Mm-hmm.
The issue came in when they cut Scott Speedman out.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they did away with the whole thing with Michael Corvinus and you didn't see him no more, and then like the whole thing with their daughter, like that shit was just. I get what they were trying to do. I just think like, the whole aspect of her being what she was kind of goofy.
Yeah. Well, I feel like they did it very goofily. They did it very goofy. So to me, the newer one, well, not the newest one, not the last one. What was it Blood Moon or something like that?
Mhm.
Not Blood Moon. The one before that, Awakens. I thought Awakens was great. Awakens was a nice, good transition into a futuristic. What does a futuristic world look like with werewolves and vampires?
And the wild part was that actually made sense because like it should have been one of those things like where, all right, they caught on, the government's aware, they're trying to eradicate them. So it's like, when you got someone trying to hunt you to extinction, what do? It's like, and you got to remember these both are actual creatures that are actual predators. So it's like, you want to go head to head with a fucking rabid tiger. Let's see how it works in your favor.
Exactly. And then what the government fucking bioengineering, like the super werewolf. I get it. The idea is goofy, but I like the way they did it. Though.
No, I thought that made phenomenal sense. I thought his size was a bit too much. Other than that, perfect sense.
yeah. Him being that big, I feel like the idea of a super werewolf should have been, just on the physical ability in general, not the size. Super doesn't necessarily have to equivalent to massive size, right? It could be more so his instincts are extremely higher, or even then he has an extended ability that he can use. Hell, even if he was able to werewolf out certain parts of his body, you know what I mean? Like maybe he can transform just his claws or just his hands into claws or something like that. You know what I mean? To give him an added boost, like he still has his werewolf abilities in human form.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we see that with shit. What is his name? Why am I forgetting?
Just spit it out, nigga.
The Lucius.
Lucian.
Why did I say Lucius? Lucian. Yes. When we see with Lucian, he has that extreme strength and ability and stuff while he's in his human form, but it's also because he is centuries old.
Yeah, and I would like to. That's one thing I would like to play on. That I thought that was really interesting. Was like I like the fact that they actually made them immortal. I like the fact they actually made it to the point where they can change whenever they want it.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the fact that they were not so much just like massive. That they were actually just massive humanoid wolves. Like I thought that whole thing was done phenomenally. And the wild part is it hasn't been done like that since.
Yeah, I feel like they made the perfect recipe. They made the perfect recipe.
And there's no one who looks at it and goes, "Oh, I didn't care for that," or "I didn't like the way that was done," or thought it was over the top. Like there's no one I've met who's actually sat through those and thought they were terrible.
Exactly. My fiance, she's a vampire lover. She loves vampires. She loves
Oh,
vampire lover. She's a vampire lover.
yeah,
Which is, like I said, it's interesting because I fucking love werewolves. So it's a pretty interesting relationship there.
mhm.
But like the idea that they had, and that idea that they were going with, again, sorry to the viewers for switching gears from the Wolfman to Underworld, but again, it all wraps in together with the werewolf and the Wolfman lore. Because I also want to point out there are different types of werewolf creatures, and depending on, because again, if we look at Teen Wolf, we see those are wolf men and women. Of course, they have their other werewolf characters in the show, or were characters in the show, like the were coyote, were jaguar, were bear, berserkers, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. But only time you really see a classic werewolf, someone in a full bipedal wolf form, would be Peter. When you first see him, he's in a full, wolf
He
down
is.
form. So to my understanding, that happens depending on how you're turned. It depends on how you're turned and how strong you have the lycanthropy virus in your system.
Well, that's kind of interesting considering that all the Hales were born that way. So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. So, well, again, and it also depends on how it starts, because to my understanding, a lot of Teen Wolf, a lot of it is all mystical. It's magical. There's
Yes.
it's the mystical and the magical side of lycanthropy. But then you have the scientific side of lycanthropy, which is where you get, again, where you get bitten and so on and so forth and stuff like that. So for them, I believe it was, it just carries down throughout the genes. Because remember, Derek's mother was able to turn into an actual full wolf.
And so was he eventually too. Yes.
Exactly. Um,
I'd have fun with that.
yeah, I'd have a lot of fun with that too. I really would. Fuck, dude, I just have a fun ass time as a werewolf, or more so as a lycan, because to my understanding, there's werewolves. Well, at least in the if we look at the underworld lore, there's werewolves, and then there's lycans. To my knowledge, there's only one werewolf in that universe, and that is William, who is the first original werewolf, the son of the what was his name? The son of Corvinus, the first true and real immortal in their universe.
Alexander Corvinus.
Alexander, yes, Alexander Corvinus, the who had two sons. One was bitten by a bat. One was bitten by three.
Yeah, three. Yes, because one was bitten by a bat, one was bitten by a wolf, and then one wound up just growing old and siring his own family. That's who Michael was a descendant of.
Yes. There we go. You're right. Three. Yes. One bitten by a nun. One bitten by a bat. One bitten by a werewolf. One created vampires. One created the lycans. Yeah. So those who were bitten by William became those werewolves. But those who were turned by those people, by those people that were turned by William, again, it dilutes down. Those are the ones who end up evolving into lycans, the ones who could turn at will. And correct me if I'm wrong, in their lore, Lucian was the first of of his lycan kind.
Correct. He was the first one to be transformed from human back and forth.
Exactly, because he was born of a werewolf.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, yeah. So like, if you're, I guess it was like if you were bitten by a werewolf, you would become a werewolf. But now, if you were, and again, this is where Teen Wolf. This is a big part where Teen Wolf and the Wolfman is more along the lines of Underworld than Teen Wolf is, because it's more on the scientific side of it. Um, where it's like, all right, you're bitten, and then there's that evolutionary change, as you go down the line. Lucian was that evolutionary change. And
Yes.
to those who are just tuning in, to those who are just watching, welcome to the Super Breakdown. Since it's October, this is our last episode in our Spooktober lineup. We are talking about the Wolfman. You can check out our YouTube, the Super Breakdown, one word on YouTube. It is in our Super Breakdown podcast playlist, where you can watch all of our old episodes and you can go through our Spooktober lineup. First week was shit. What was the first week?
Our first episode we did was the Ghost Rider.
Yes. First episode in our lineup is Ghost Rider. Second one is Spawn, where we actually went back and rewatched the HBO Spawn, as well as the Michael J. White Spawn movie. Compared, contrast. We went into Todd McFarlane's Spawn comic books and the storyline and how that played out. Last week we touched on the red
Hellboy.
hand of Hell himself, Hellboy. Went through the first two movies, went through the horrible bomb of the third movie. Looked at
Third movie. What third movie?
the David Harbour movie.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh god damn it! It's not a Dragon Ball Evolution situation.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Bad. It
I
wasn't
still
that
don't know what you speak.
okay. First off, the David Harbour Hellboy movie, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't it wasn't Last Airbender bad. It wasn't along the lines of like we don't talk about Bruno.
Oh God.
It came close, but it was not a it wasn't a Bruno. Um but and then this week we were talking about the Wolfman, werewolves, and the Wolfman and werewolf lore. You're tuning in. We're actually talking about the differences between Wolfman, Wolfman, and how it relates to, and how it goes along the line of Teen Wolf. And then we're relating Wolfman and how it relates to the Underworld series and the werewolves in there. But again, yeah. So as I was saying, Lucian was the first of his kind to be born from a werewolf, with that evolutionary anomaly and evolutionary change of being able to go back and forth between werewolf and human form. Um, so with that being said, like it's more on the scientific side of things, unlike Teen Wolf, which is more so on the mystical side of things. It's weird. Teen Wolf took both approach, and we're talking about the more modern Teen Wolf with Tyler Posey, and I forget his last name, but and Dylan,
Was
the
it
more
Dylan?
on MTV,
Was it Dylan Scott?
Dylan Scott.
Was it Dylan Scott?
I don't think it's Dylan Scott.
But yes, not to be confused with the one with Michael J. White. Excuse me, not Michael J. White. Excuse me, Michael J. Fox. Excuse me.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox. Hey man, you're getting a little shaky there. Getting a little shaky.
You were just talking about Spawn. That's where my mind went.
I know, but I'm just saying, man. You listen. You gotta getting a little shaky there, man. You gotta remember, you're talking about Michael J. Fox. You got Michael J. Fox. You gotta.
Jesus Christ. Oh God.
I'm a horrible human being.
He is.
But yeah, welcome to the podcast. If you guys haven't watched this before, go back and watch it. But no, yeah, I feel like if they were to take the idea of the Wolfman and apply some of the Underworld formula to it, they would have something good. And again, reaching back to the like, okay, I want to point out the fact
Mm-hmm.
just backtracking real quick, the monster universe kind of idea that they had, they were going good.
Oh my God. How so?
Dracula Untold was great,
Haven't seen it.
bro. It's worth the watch. It was very very good. The Wolfman movie was great. Dracula Untold was great, and then they fucked
How
it up
about?
going for a three-peat.
Oh yeah. How was that? How was that Mummy movie?
We don't talk about Bruno. No, no, no. Fucking Tom Cruise. He fucks everything up. If it's not his, he fucks it up. If it's not his, he fucks it up. Um, but dude, it's just but yeah, and so I'm interested to see what this Frankenstein movie is doing. Now, I'm unsure because I did just see a trailer for an interesting kind of Frankenstein movie. I hope that it's not the one that I'm thinking of. Um,
It can't be no worse than I Frankenstein.
to be honest, I rather I Frankenstein than the trailer for what I just watched.
Shit.
Yeah, because even then, even with I Frankenstein, it was a very unique twist. It was unique. There had been no other Frankenstein movie ever done like that before. So I enjoyed watching it because it was entertaining. Did it did it stick to any kind of traditional lore? Hell no, it did not. But it was a Frankenstein movie. Um so so what I'm seeing is that there's a Guillermo del Toro um Frankenstein movie that's going to be coming out next year. But the trailer I saw recently was of a movie labeled Lisa Frankenstein that
What?
takes place in in 1989. Pretty much this chick named Lisa ends up falling in love with she ends up reanimating a Victorian corpse, who is also played by Cole Sprouse. Love Cole Sprouse. I love his acting. He's awesome. He's extremely funny as well. Um, but yeah, she accidentally reanimates a corpse, and thus that's the new Frankenstein movie that's coming out. That's the newest one that's coming out, and it's by Focus Features. So I'm interested about that. But there is a project that it's going to be old school black and white, um and it's being produced by Guillermo del Toro. So it's going to be fucking great. It's going to be great. But it's probably going to be one of those kind of like indie kind of movies, kind of B kind of movies. But I'm interested in this because it's going to be closer to that. Um, but I'm still iffy about it. It's gonna be like first person kind of shot kind of thing. Yeah, never mind. It actually does not look as good as I expected it to. Um, it looks like there's just multiple Frankenstein movies that are in production. There's that Lisa Frankenstein bullshit. Then there's a shitty first person film Frankenstein movie that's supposed to come out. But then Guillermo del Toro, the legend, is planning a Doctor Frankenstein movie for February of 2024. So that's going to be interesting. We got Oscar Isaac, Andrew Garfield, Mia Goth. So it looks like it's gonna be legit.
Sounds colorful.
Yeah, yeah. So also I'm interested to see how that rocks out and how that rides out. Um, but again, with so I'm interested to see if this is the way that they're gonna take things. If this is the way that they're rocking it, I'm interested to see if they were to redo the Wolfman movie. Um, I'd be interested in a Wolfman movie that like starts out like the traditional Wolfman, but could possibly end up like Underworld Wolfman, like Wolfman becoming. I don't want to say this, and I don't want to relate it to this, but kind of like you've seen Jason X
Yes.
and how pretty much it starts out in his normal time, and then he ends up getting frozen, cryo frozen or whatnot, and then ends up fucking in the future and then space and shit. Um,
Where are you going with this?
Not that far. Not that far. I don't want to see it go that far. But in a way, somehow the Wolfman ends up in modern era, or if they just had it to the point where he just lived that long. You
Well,
know,
they could always do what they did in that Alvin and the Chipmunks movie, where the person is Lawrence's descendant, and he just lived with lycanthrope all his life.
hey, whoa, 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 whoa. You say the way they did Alvin and Chipmunks?
Yeah, you remember that movie where Theodore gets bitten?
Oh, damn, that's when you're talking about. Oh my god. I forgot about the movie. I think I might watch it with my son. Watch that one with my son. Mm.
He didn't enjoy it. There's also one that I believe they meet Frankenstein.
Yep, and the Mummy. There's one when they meet the Mummy. I think they actually meet all the classic monsters as well. I think there's a movie where they meet Dracula as well. I think so too. Man, oh my god, dude, you just brought back memories, dude. Holy shit, wow. You just unlocked some like not repressed, but some long lost memories. Holy shit, nice. Um but yeah, that'll be interesting as well. Oh yeah, a descendant and ooh,
Like
ooh.
if I had it, like I would rather see it to the point where like either he was descendant or maybe we fast forwarded a bit and we saw like his grandson or his great grandson or like his son dealing with this whole thing and like, he has to deal with the fallout of what happened. Or the also thing is that the curse does live on. So it's like short of you killing and see this is another thing too, because there are versions of the story with werewolves where the curse can be cured.
Yeah, if you kill the werewolf that bit you,
Eat his heart, from what I'm told. At
eat
least
his
that's the way it was in American Werewolf in London. I actually like that one. That was one of my favorites as a kid.
Oh, absolutely. And me being a film producer, like I love werewolf transformations in movies. And thus where American Werewolf in London has it and it to till this day has literally the hands down best werewolf transformation of all time, and no other movie has been able to beat that werewolf transformation out. They've
Uh,
tried and they failed.
you're thinking of an American Werewolf in London, not Paris.
I said London.
Oh, okay. I said Paris.
Oh, you said Paris.
Yes.
Oh, aren't they the same? No, no, they're not the
Not two
same.
totally different movies.
Yep, two totally different movies. Want to know what's interesting? A fun
Hmm.
fact about 2010's Wolfman.
Go ahead.
The costume director, the one who was in charge of all the prosthetics and everything,
Yes.
did Werewolf in London. Was also the one who worked on the prosthetics for Wolfman in 2010, while also getting a cameo in the beginning. He was the first. He was the caretaker, the first person to
Yeah.
die in the movie.
Hot take.
Yeah, so he carries. So he definitely carries. He makes sure that he carries on. And again, he's an amazing um costume designer. He has his credits are deep. His credits are deep. deep. I'm gonna see if I can get his name real quick. I do not remember his name whatsoever.
So I got a question for you.
Mhm.
What is your feeling on the pack and the whole on the werewolf pack and the alpha lore mentality?
Mm, I'm
Because in certain series, the pack thing is done right and it makes sense, and other times it's hinted at, but it's not like a defining factor.
mm, mm.
Because like if you watch Teen Wolf, the pack thing is a really big thing because the pack is what gives the alpha its power. Well, not gives the alpha the power. The pack increases the alpha's power. Excuse me.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, but if you watch stuff like if you watch like a True Blood, that wasn't necessarily as important. Like if you had a pack, your pack was what made you. It was like your family, and it's like the pack had the pack master was the alpha, but it's like it wasn't so much like the more wolves, the stronger the alpha was.
Well, I believe that plays on again when it comes to Teen Wolf. It was the mystical element of it. The more
Right.
werewolves that pack leader that Alpha has behind him, the more that boosts his his power on a more mystical standpoint out of it. But I believe where that originally came from was you're only as strong as your team in a way.
Yeah.
So the more wolves, let's say you're the leader of the army, of you have your own little army and shit like that. Your squad is going to be stronger the more people you have, right? So you as a leader, technically, in turn, will be stronger than anyone else. As opposed, let's say you have five. Yeah, let's say you have a 5-man team. Somebody has a 2-man team. You know, you strength in numbers kind of thing. I think that's where that the idea of that stems from. Because again, if you look at the idea of an Omega, which is a lone wolf, um, they're clearly not as strong as an alpha who has 5, 6, maybe even 10 wolves in his pack.
Hey, we've seen some alpha. We've seen some omega wolves have big dick energy. I mean, I'm just saying.
Absolutely, absolutely. But and again, that also the idea of that too is to outnumber and be able to protect against hunters, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Where you have an Omega who has no one else to watch his back. He's going against 5, 6 hunters on his own. He's destined to die unless again he's swinging that big dick energy. You know what I mean? But 9 times out of 10, a lone wolf, they're going to succumb to being outnumbered. Whether you're unlike when you're an alpha, you have multiple wolves, thus you can even the odds against the hunters. You know what I mean? You can work in unison. You're able to have each other's back and either one, kill the threat, or you can, run and properly hide and evade the threat. So that's where I think that comes from. Um Now and again, Teen Wolf, the way they did it on a more it was very I don't know, I feel like they kind of balanced it out though, in a way. There was most definitely that mystical element of it, but then there was the more a logical element of it as well. Because again, strength in numbers, yeah. But at the same time, in their universe, strength in numbers equals more power to the one that created them.
Well,
But go ahead.
that can't necessarily be the fact either because there was next to no one in Scott Hall. He actually turned himself. Opposed to Derek Hale, who had like what 4 wolves, and then all of them he turned.
That's true, but I also feel like they were going on. There was also the added element of your connection and your bond.
Ah,
And because even though Scott had literally only turned one of them, uh, Dylan, I think his name was
Liam.
Liam. Liam. Since technically he had only turned Liam, but his pack consisted of a human, a hunter, a were coyote, a kitsune. I even count fucking oh my god, why am I forgetting his boss's name? I even count the druid,
Deacon.
Deacon, and then hell, even Derek in the end. Derek became a part of his pack as well. But that pack, we got Jackson as well. We got Lydia the Banshee. We got Ethan, because Aiden was the one that got killed. His twin Ethan as well, who was a former alpha as well. But again, even though he didn't turn any of them aside from Liam, their bond and their connection was strong, which in turn is what made him a pack. I think they're playing off the idea that a pack is a family, and the stronger the bond of the family, the stronger the head of the family is.
Yes, which explains Vin Diesel's power. Listen, I don't want to hear that shit. You've seen Fast Furious 7. What was it Ramsey said? What was it Ramsey said when she met all them? She's like, oh, he's like ex-cop, military, something like that. When he took out those guys, shows training. He's definitely the tech guy offended by the Hackler remark. Alpha, Miss Alpha, Joker. Like, listen, she literally called that nigga Alpha of the pack.
Yeah, and I honestly, bro, that shit's supernatural, bro. At this point, that shit is supernatural. It is. There's no motherfucking way, absolutely no way that they're doing this shit and surviving. And the fact that they're making fun of it now too, like you can't even talk shit about the movies anymore because the movies have begun to talk shit about themselves. You can't even talk shit about the movie no more. But yeah, I believe that's the idea that they're kind of building off of and kind of expanding off of. The family dichotomy of it all, the strength in numbers, of it all, and then also adding that mystical element to it as well. The more the stronger your bond with your pack, the more your power grows. You know what I mean? Because again, if you look at Deucalion in Teen Wolf, he should have been incredibly fucking strong because he had an entire pack of alphas. But he wasn't as strong as Scott because the connection between Deucalion and his pack was not nearly as strong as Scott and his makeshift pack.
Interesting.
Deucalion's pack knew, like, if they fucked up, they were gonna die. He was gonna kill them. All they were just cannon fodder to him.
Now, would you say that same principle applies to the Samuli plaque in the back in the black pack from Twilight?
Well, first off, I want to start by saying those aren't real werewolves.
Wow. Okay.
And not throwing shade, it's actually stated in the books that they aren't actual werewolves. They're shapeshifters. So it's actually stated that in the book that they are essentially the cousins of werewolves. And it states that there are actual werewolves in that world, but the black family are Native American shapeshifters. So in fact, they can turn into whatever the hell they want, but it's just that their family has been trained in turning into wolves. But again, the same thing kind of applies to that, but more on the aspect of strength in numbers. The stronger the bond of a family is, that's how strong you are. But it also goes back to, like, more so of the physical strength of the person that becomes a wolf. You know what I mean? The mental fortitude of that person that becomes that turns into a wolf. Um, Now, if you go along the lines of who becomes the leader of the pack, it, I believe that you can relate that to the true alpha idea of Teen Wolf. You know what I mean? It's someone who becomes an alpha and becomes a leader based off their own merit, their own willpower, and that's what we end up seeing in the later books with Jacob. He becomes a alpha and leader of his pack because he wants it. You know what I mean? He decides, and he doesn't want it for any nefarious means or anything like that. He had two people, that are like, yo, listen, and you got this. You can do this. You can do this. You don't, do your own thing. He had two people that were devoted to him in his cause. And in turn, we see him end up getting that power and becoming that alpha over them. Because remember, they were in the old pack. They were still they were still a part of Paul's pack technically. And please, ladies and gentlemen, don't rip me apart the fact that I remember their names more vividly than I remember the names of Teen Wolf. It was a phase, okay? I swear it was a phase.
You're thinking of Sam Yuli's. It was Sam's pack.
Well, Paul was it? Paul was the second in command.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was Sam, Paul, Jacob, and then they had the babies of the pack essentially, which were pretty much the younger one, the younger kids. They're still like teenagers and whatever. But it was the younger ones who pretty much split off from Sam's pack, and because I feel like Paul was like the enforcer.
Yeah, he was definitely with the shit.
Yeah, he was the enforcer. And so yeah, he pretty much Jacob became the alpha, the leader of his own pack based off his own will. So I don't know. I feel like if they were to redo the Wolfman but I feel like the idea of the Wolfman and him being essentially that lone wolf is what it was supposed to be, its own standalone thing. You know what I mean? That's why if you look at the original Teen Wolf, we don't see any other werewolves. It's just him. It ends up just being just him because that's supposed to be kind of the idea of it. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be one wolfman, lone wolfman out here in the trenches, surviving on his own. So I don't know. I'm torn between leaving it that way if they were to do a new one and leaving it that way, leaving it as just the Wolfman.
Hey man, I think Derek Hale had the right idea.
Honestly, yeah, man. See how long he survived without a pack. As soon as the pack came along, he started getting fucked up. He died multiple times, and he almost died multiple times fucking with the pack shit. So I don't know. He might. You're right. He might have been onto something. So I don't know. I would definitely like to see a more modern Wolfman. Wolfman idea taking place in more modern times. Or at least again, like you said, a descendant of Lawrence Talbot, and or have it as like they could play around with the idea like maybe the lycanthropy gene had been dormant for years or centuries, or maybe like once every blue moon, no pun intended, a child's born with the lycanthropy virus.
Right. Or like like you said, like maybe he accidentally drunk out of the paw print, didn't realize it, and it activated the curse. Or did you ever sit through the Vampire Diaries?
I tried, I got pretty far. I think I made it maybe like season 3 or 4. There's like 7 seasons of that shit, right? 6, 7 seasons.
Might be like 8. It might be like 8 or 9 by I think past that.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. I got like kind of midway through and then kind of fell off. Um, I would like to go back and watch it because I would also like to get into the originals because I heard the originals, people like the originals better than they like Vampire Diaries, and I'm hearing a lot of good things about Legacy. So, like, Originals is a prequel that leads in into like it leads into Vampire Diaries, and it eventually ends up taking place at the same time as Vampire Diaries, and then ends up crossing over. And then Legacy is a sequel to both.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I've been hearing good things about it. So, um, how does that relate with into Vampire Diaries?
So because it's revealed that there's a chemical, I believe it came from a plant. It was not so much a chemical, but it was more like a herb called vervain. And it's like how vervain was toxic to supernatural creatures, especially vampires.
Yeah.
So there was a there was a way that they were trying to like test the town to see who was infected and who wasn't. And this one dude, like he like fell over and like he like fell over and seized, but it wasn't like anything that had come from the vervain. So he's like, yo, he's not a vampire. They're like, if he's not a vampire, then what is he then? Come to find out, he carried the gene of the lycanthrope through a form of a curse. And the way the curse was activated was you had to kill someone accidentally.
Hmm.
So like there was a kid in the town, they needed a werewolf, so they wound up forcing him into activating his curse to use him towards like their grand scheme.
Oh, that's unique.
Yeah.
That's very unique.
And it's like he had the same similar powers, the powers of persuasion, he was faster, he was stronger, but like his transformation was brutal.
Yeah, that's one thing I was hearing that like and one thing that I've seen is that the transformations in the Vampire Diaries universe is pretty brutal. But for me, again, like I said, as being like a connoisseur, if you would, of werewolf transformations, it didn't really hit for me. Like, although it was brutal, it just didn't hit for me because all the CGI threw it off.
Well, it was
You know?
also one of those things where I took it that he actually transformed into an actual wolf, opposed to like a wolf hybrid.
Mm, because so he turned into an actual wolf.
Memory serves me correctly.
Because the transformations I had seen were like CGI bipedal. They weren't like huge werewolves, but they were like they can go from quad to bipedal. When they can stand up on the hind legs or they can crouch down and move. Um, it kind of to me it kind of resembled the way Peter from Teen Wolf, how his werewolf looked a little bit. I don't know.
I,
Again, you're
I think
probably
that
more correct than I am because I didn't really watch it too heavy. Like I barely remember it.
I want to say yes. That it was more like like the actual wolf, but it was more exaggerated. Not quite to the point of Twilight, but it was like along the lines of that.
Hmm. Hmm. I don't know. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Um. So check it out. All level sevens. We're gonna take a quick 10-minute, 10-15 minute break. We will be right back, and when we come back, we're going to crack out this the next hour of this show. And we're gonna be building on and off of pretty much gonna keep doing a little bit of what we're doing with more detail. All right. So we will be back right after these messages from none of our sponsors because W hasn't really been hitting a bro back lately. But again, you should go and buy Dubby. Check out our link tree. It's in our bio. You get 10% off your orders of Dubby for however long you decide to use the promo code. Promo code hashtag TSB 2023. Yeah, just click the link in our bio. Go through the website. They got merch. They got a bunch of amazing flavors. Check it out. And again, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, Terramana, please sponsor us. So again, we will be back right after these messages. follow us at The Super Breakdown on all social media. Thank you. All right. We are back. We have returned. I hope you guys enjoy the little beat in the background, the music. So we are back after a quick little break. For those of you who are just tuning in, this is a Super Breakdown podcast. I'm Power Maximus, everyone's favorite demigod, Lord Triage. We are continuing our Spooktober lineup, which started out with Ghost Rider, and we are ending this month with the one, the only. The Wolfman. Yes. We are talking about the one, the only. Honestly, I'm trying to play around with these things, with these sounds, because I haven't played around with them. I usually don't play around with them. So I'm just having a good time playing around with them. But yeah, so far throughout the show, we've talked about the Wolfman, the original Wolfman movie, from way back in the day. We have talked about the Wolfman remake that was done in 2010. Both amazing movies. We've gone through and talked about the origin and the lore behind the werewolf, Wolfman, and lycanthropy in general. We've gone through and talked about the connections and certain relations between other werewolf movies in the world, such as American Werewolf in London, Werewolf in Paris, the Underworld series, the first three, last two, little shaky. Teen Wolf the series, Teen Wolf the movie. Um, what else? We've talked about Blood and Chocolate, how they introduced the idea of a Lugaru, which is a shapeshifter from human to actual wolf form. Um, so yeah, we've gone through all that thus far, bringing us to here and now. Right now, let's get into where we want to see the Wolfman go. Where would we like this? Where do we want to see this character go in more modern day? It's the last where the Wolfman movie was back in 2010. It's now a decade and some change later. If they do redo the Wolfman, where would you like to see it go?
I mean, if I'm keeping it a stack, I think the last iteration wasn't terrible, but I would also like to see one of those things where they have to tie it into modern day culture. Like I said, well, Underworld Awakens, not modern day culture, but the modern day time. Excuse me. Like Underworld Awakens wasn't done poorly to me, but it's just one of those things like where if the vampire girls had united finally to fight off the humans, like say there'd been like some like tyrannical leader who was trying to wipe them all out, like the way the one dude was in Avatar, who was trying to get the unobtainium from the planet. Like, you know what I mean? Like if they had actually got like a whole like military tactician type group led by like their version of General Zod, it made sense.
And I think that's where they were trying to go. But actually, no, because we ended up finding out that the person that was in charge of everything was a vampire in Underworld. The person that was in charge of pretty much, at least when we see Underworld Awakening, we end up finding out that the person in charge was actually a vampire.
Not a werewolf.
No. So there was a super werewolf, right? But the person who was in charge of those experiments was a vampire.
Oh, you're talking about Blood War.
Oh, was it Blood War?
I'm about to say you definitely got to be talking about something that happened in the last movie.
Really? Because I swore it. Oh yeah, I think it was the last movie. Was it? Was it the last? I don't know. The Awakening and Blood War. They end up like merging together to me because of like they're very loose. I didn't feel like it was a very strong structure between in those last two movies like there were in the first three. It was very loose. It was very open to me. Certain shit that didn't make any sense. But I definitely thought they should have, yeah, they definitely should have went with that because that was the whole point of Michael was to unite the two worlds. It was to unite the werewolves and unite the vampires together. And that's why Victor didn't like that because he's all about pure blood vampire. Vampires are superior, this and that, and he didn't want the worlds to unite.
Yeah, he out there calling them animals. He might as well been calling them niggas.
They were slaves.
See, I'm mad as where you went.
You said niggas.
I did, but that's not. You see, you went the extra miles. Like, oh, they were slaves. They were slaves. That's not.
Because if you look at the way that the
Oh
werewolves.
yeah, go ahead. Continue to dig the hole. I'll wait.
Oh no, absolutely. I will dig this absolutely happily. If you look at the way the werewolves were treated, they were treated, and if you can rate it, what was it? What's it called? Fucking the idea of text to real world. We make text to text connection. But yeah, if you look at the text to real world connection there, yeah, werewolves were beaten, they were enslaved, they were there to work for the vampires who were usually, usually when you see a vampire, how often have you seen a black vampire?
The one guy who was checking out their gear.
Mm-hmm. You can
Are we
count
talking about in that series specifically?
No, in general.
Does Eddie Murphy count?
I knew you were going there. Yes, he does. I knew you were going there. Yes, he definitely does. He does. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. That's a good ass movie. Should have got a sequel.
Black vampires. That's Blade.
I'll count him, even though he's half blood. I'll count him, even though he's half blood. I'll count him. Yeah. So we got Eddie Murphy from Vampire in Brooklyn. We got Blade. We got the black guy. We got the black armorer from Underworld. We got Twilight.
Epps.
Who?
Omar Epps, Dracula 2000.
Oh shit! Damn. Yeah. 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 Okay.
That's pretty much all I can think of on top of that.
One hand. That's 5 on one hand.
Well, nigga, I ain't hear you come up with shit.
Yeah, I did. I said Laurent from Twilight.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Let's see if I can think of any other. Nope. Nope. Vampires are usually white. Vampires are usually white. So as I was saying, you know what? There's a whole theology that I can go on about that, but I'm gonna leave it alone because it's gonna get real racy. So I'll leave that alone. Leave that
Oh,
for
what?
another.
So hold on. So what? There's a higher Caucasus to Negro ratio when it comes to vampires and werewolves. Okay, so name 5 black werewolves.
Roz from
Okay.
Underworld, right? He was pretty dope. There was like even within that, even if you look at Rise of the Lycans, there was like 3, 4, maybe even 5 other black people that were in that pack. They weren't main characters, but they were in that, yeah. Even if you look at there's a whole African lore for werewolves as well. Africa has their own werewolves. Fucking Native Americans have their own werewolves. There's more creatures. There's more werewolf lore within within cultures of people of color than there are vampires also in those lore in those cultures. If you look at it that way. But that's not where I was going. If we're gonna open it, we're gonna open it. And you know what? I want to take a moment real quick because we didn't and please forgive me for this. I didn't touch on this in the beginning of the episode. Saying Jazz not going to be with us for quite a few episodes due to some personal reasons. But in order to have him here in spirit, I'm gonna open the floodgates on this. Fuck it. Yell at him all the time. No, say what you say it. Just say what you gotta say. Say what you're gonna say. Say what you're gonna say. Um so fine. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. All right. The depiction of a vampire, pale and pasty skin. What does a vampire do? A vampire has to feed off others in order to survive. And I'm gonna let out my inner Malcolm X because if you look at it, what has the white man been doing to the black man for centuries? Feeding off of our knowledge, feeding off of our culture, taking what is ours is making it them, using us as daylight protectors.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Power Farrakhan.
Oh shit! Our Farrakhan, yo, that is wild. Holy shit, dude. Oh, oh god. It is the last 30 minutes of the show. You guys already know what happens when we hit that hour 30-minute mark. Shit just goes off the fucking rails. But yeah, anyways, if you put it like that, yes. But even then, and I feel like this is also why, like I said, I relate more with werewolves than I do with vampires, because every time we see a vampire always, always, always as someone in a position of power, somebody with massive amounts of wealth, somebody with all the opportunity in the world, yet no one suspects it. You know what I mean? No
Oh,
one's.
here I was gonna say it's always a metrosexual fuckboy, but continue.
Is there a difference? But no, but if you look at a character that becomes a werewolf, they're always the ones that have been punched down on. They're always the ones that have been beaten down on. In Teen Wolf, Scott McCall, he is a loser. No one likes him. He's bullied. He can barely play the sport he's at. He's always the underdog. No pun intended. The werewolf character is always an underdog. Which is why if you look at so many lore, it's always the werewolf, the story of the stereotypical story of a werewolf having to be the one to get rid of a vampire has always been an underdog story. Look at Hugh Jackman's Van Helsing. Look at that. That is a perfect example of an underdog story of a werewolf having to an inexperienced underdog werewolf that has to take on the all-powerful superior vampire that has centuries of knowledge, skill, and experience above him.
And he still smoked his boots.
And you know what I'm saying? And it's always the where and again, mm, mm, mm. Power Farrakhan coming out again. And even in Van Helsing, what is it? The Dracula uses a werewolf and controls a werewolf because he fears the werewolf, because the werewolf is the only thing that can take him out, that can stop him. He fears the power of a werewolf. He fears if the werewolf comes to power and comes to the true knowledge of who he is and what he is destined to do, and comes to knowledge of his true destiny, it means the downfall of the vampire. Same thing, bring it back to Victor in Underworld. He fears the power of the werewolf because they can walk in the day. During the day while the vampires are asleep, the werewolves can come through and slaughter them all. And that is just what happens. That is exactly what happened. Lucian is Malcolm X of the Underworld universe. He brings his people to power. He brings them together and helps them rise up against the oppressors, the vampires. All right, we'll take out the fact that Lucian is white, but still.
Said, we're not animals. We are not animals. I've lived my entire life envying them, protecting them, and for what? To get treated like an animal. We can be more than this. We can be slaves, or we can be lichens.
To me, that goes down in history as one of my favorite inspirational speeches of all time, along with Idris Elba's speech in Pacific Rim, Monsters at a Doorstep.
I've never seen Pacific Rim.
Dude, it's a great fucking kaiju movie. Great mech kaiju movie. America made an actually good mech movie.
Yeah, I've been told it's like Gundam Wing meets Godzilla, but no, I haven't sat.
Yeah, fucking great. And they did an animated kind of spin-off that takes place kind of like in the time where like it all really first started. And oh no, either I think it takes place in the future, like after the Pacific Rim movies, I believe. But point is, they had an animated series on Netflix that was actually really, really good too. So both Pacific Rim 1 and 2 were good. 2, I guess people would say it was a little shaky, but it definitely continued. It continued it very well. And then the animation, the animated one is absolutely amazing, dude. You got to watch Pacific Rim; it's amazing. And then Idris Elba, like I said, his monsters at a doorstep speech, bro. It's tied for number one with Independence Day, with the president from Independence Day speech. It's tied. But yeah, so yeah, the werewolves are always the underdog. Nobody ever likes the werewolves. You know, every time you look at it, everyone's always on the vampire side.
Yeah, you watch that original Underworld, you'd have really thought them niggas was the bad guys. Nope. They're the whole victims.
Exactly. Oh my god! And then that twist at the end, like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Hold on, no. It was the vampires that had been shitting on the werewolves, and it all started because of William. Because William's rampage, Marcus was like, "Yo, we just gotta, all we gotta do is just, all we gotta do is contain them. So all we gotta do is just contain them." And Power of Farrakhan coming back out. And if you look at it, the vampires were even were so devious to that they would turn against their own people and steal the power of their own people. If you look at it, Marcus is the true original vampire.
Yeah, and that whole lie that got told. You know what the funny part about it is?
What's up?
When I remember I had to have been like 13 when that first movie got made, 13 or 14.
Yeah.
When they tell that whole story about the origins of the Corvinus clan, the whole thing with the Marcus and William, and how one got bitten by a wolf, one got bitten by a bat, one walked the lonely road of immortality. Yes, it's a ridiculous legend, to quote Victor. The second they were like, Victor's the oldest and strongest of the vampires, and they mentioned Marcus, I'm like, that doesn't even make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So what? That the original werewolf just happened to be a descendant of an actual immortal, and then Victor somehow got bit and then bit Marcus? It doesn't make sense.
Well, remember, they weren't because after Marcus, because right after they captured William, that's when Marcus was like, "Listen, I want to suffer the same fate as my brother." And in order to keep the power rolling, every few years, one of us gets put to sleep, one of us gets brought back. I think it was like every century or whatever, every 1,000 years, one of them goes to sleep, one of them gets brought back.
Yeah.
But Victor had other plans. He wanted all the power for himself. So when Marcus got put to sleep, right after they captured Victor, there was no one else around, and no one knew. Even the people that time, they all thought that Victor, because that's what they didn't want. Marcus didn't want people to know that he was the first vampire. They didn't want him to know that he was the oldest and strongest. They didn't want him to know that he was directly related to William. That's not what he wanted. He didn't want people to know that. So of course, when they put Marcus to sleep, Victor was like, "All right," and that's when Victor started spinning that web. And he was downplaying Marcus, and that's why Marcus was so pissed off when he came back. That's why he was so pissed off with Victor, because he came back and when he got all the memories from Celine and shit, and from the well, when he first originally got the memories from the doctor dude that Victor punched his face off, that shit was fire. Nah, he punched that motherfucker's face off. He got the memories from that guy about what had been going on with the werewolves and lichens for centuries. He was pissed off about that. He's like, "Damn, we were supposed to end this war, but you kept it going." And then when he got the memories from Celine about what was going on, he was even more pissed. Oh wait, no. He didn't. He got it from the vampire dude, because when he woke up, He killed the one vampire dude. The guy who was like kind of the leader, kind of like the underling right underneath Victor.
Craven.
Craven, yeah. He killed Craven and got all the information from Craven's blood. And it was tight. I think I'm echoing a little bit on your side. But yeah, he was pissed. He's like, bro, we were supposed to be homies. You were supposed to hold this shit down while I sleep. And look, now you done put all you done made everything go to hell, everything go to shit. And then on top of that, you talking shit about me. Talking about I was the weakest, this and that, possible. Like, motherfucker, I made you. I'm your father, bitch. So yeah. What was that?
I'm the papa.
Yeah. So I'd be pissed too if I came back and found out motherfuckers was fucking up my shit while I was gone. You know? And so it technically had only been 1,000 years since Marcus had been asleep. Because remember, it was supposed to be Amelia's turn to go to sleep. And it was supposed to be Marcus's turn to come back.
Yeah, you're right. So at that time, I guess you could have misconstrued the story, especially like amongst his quote unquote noble followers. Celine was completely devoted to him until she found out what was actually going on.
Yeah. Yup.
Crazy. I was happy to fuck her. Oh, you're devoted dark father. Yeah, it was that nigga went from room to room killing your family. The Lycans, the werewolves. He butchered them and let you live because you reminded him so much of his precious Sonia, the daughter he condemned to death. She looked at him and was like, lies.
You lies. Until she met up with Lucian and got the truth from Lucian. And he corroborated the story. Corroborated the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's so again, like I said, he was so power hungry that he fucked over the man that made him. And if that's not a text to life connection, I don't know what it is. All right, Power Farrakhan going to sleep. Power Maximus is back. But for me, what I would like to see, I agree with you. I would like to see them bring the Wolfman into. But you were right when you said modern culture as well, because every time we see Wolfman, it takes place in, fucking, I don't know, 1800s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes place in the 1800s. I would definitely like to see a Wolfman take place in a more modern culture, modern age, fucking cell phones and shit like that, and cars and shit. I would definitely like to see that.
Can't go crazy with it though. We can't have the we can't have a full on like Fifth Element, like Ghost in the Shell type shit. But no, we can go a little futuristic.
Yeah, I agree, and I feel like that's also where they fucked up with Dracula 2000.
Oh, I've got mixed feelings on that movie.
I do too. I liked it, but at the same time, in retrospect, looking back at the movie in 2023, because that movie was like it was like because it came out in 2000, so that was supposed to be the future at that time. They're on a fucking spaceship, Dracula running around. Isn't that the one with Omar?
Wait, hold spaceship? What spaceship? What are you talking about?
God damn it! Which Dracula movie I'm talking about? I swear it was Dracula 2000.
No, Dracula 2000 is one where Gerald Butler is Dracula.
Fuck, which Dracula movie am I thinking about?
I have no fucking clue.
speaking of Dracula, I'm interested to see the last Demeter, which
Yeah.
is I'm interested to see how that runs.
I mean, bunch of people out in the boat, middle of the ocean. Well, we know
No,
they
it
ain't.
was
That's
equal to
very.
Dracula 2000. It was Dracula 3000.
That's 3,000.
Yep, Dracula 3000. Yep, it was a sequel to 2000.
Just
It was Coolio. It was Coolio. That's another black vampire. Coolio.
why? It's fucking
And Tom Lister Jr. was in there. Debo.
tiny.
Yep, that's Tiny. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Hey, question.
Yep.
Did you ever watch Penny Dreadful?
Yeah. Yep. I still haven't watched the last episode though. I've been holding real hard off watching that last episode. It was so fucking good. Apparently they have a sequel series as well, but it's not nearly as good.
Because that was the show I thought that was rather interesting with the take on all that was a shared universe done completely well, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There,
Yep. I definitely 100% agree. Um, Especially I love the way they did the Wolfman in that. I didn't like I suspected Homeboy white dude was the Wolfman, but I wasn't 100% sure until he starts changing in the corridor with the old dude.
yeah, nah, that was another one. And then like I think it's the somewhere in the third season, the beginning of it, they mentioned I think it's the first episode of the third season. They actually mentioned he actually is Lawrence Talbot, and I was like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah, yep.
I was like, see, this a lot more sense now. Because that Dracula, I wasn't crazy about the rendition of Dracula, but I like the fact that Dorian Gray there. I'm a big fan of that story. I like the whole thing that he did with Frankenstein and for Frankenstein and the monster. It was just one of those things where it was just done well.
Fucking Dorian Gray, bro. Yeah, bro. I haven't seen Dorian Gray. I feel like Penny Dreadful was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen in the TV series.
With less action and more drama, yes.
Yes. Yep. 100%. Yep. And then yeah, the way they did Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, because like they started off with Bride of Frankenstein, and then she ends up creating her own Frankenstein, and he ends up being the husband, making her the bride of Frankenstein, but making him the husband of Frankenstein more so, which is weird because at the end of the day, people always forget Frankenstein is not the name of the monster. Frankenstein is not the name of the Frankenstein is the name of the doctor. That's why it's Frankenstein's monster. Um, but I found that to be excellent, and
So the movie actually be called Frankenstein's Monster.
yeah, that was actually, if I remember correctly, that's actually the name of the original movie. The original movie was Frankenstein's monster. And then after a while, it just became Frankenstein, just point blank Frankenstein. I believe the first Frankenstein came out in the 30s. That was the first Frankenstein movie. It came out in the 30s. I think it was like 1931 or whatever. And but it was labeled Frankenstein, but the movie it did focus more on the doctor a little bit as well. And then we get the sequel Bride of Frankenstein as well. Um but yeah, I mean technically yeah, it should be called Frankenstein's monster. Because again, like he never gave the monster a name, so they were just like Frankenstein's monster, and then eventually it just started becoming Frankenstein.
Be mad funny. Like he actually gave him a name and no one remembered. Like he was like, "I shall name you."
Wait, hold on, bro, I could barely hear you on that. What you say?
I said it would be funny if they actually gave him a name and he was like, "I shall call you Timothy," and just no one remembers.
um, what I again within that multiverse, it'll be interesting because there is, there's a Dracula versus Frankenstein monster. There's Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. Um, like there's so many different, and I believe they had a series of them running into each other. So I believe like Frankenstein meets the Mummy at some point too. And again, as long as they do it where fucking um like how do you say, as long as it's not like the Tom Cruise Mummy, I'm perfectly fine. Like because that's what they were going. They took Brendan Fraser's The Mummy and turned it into and then brought the aspect of the idea of Brendan Fraser's Mummy into and combined it with the original idea of the Mummy, and it didn't work. Because although I love Brendan Fraser's Mummy movies, except for the third one, it was real shaky. Um, like
Well,
it was. Go ahead.
no, the thing I wasn't gonna mention real quick that I thought was interesting. Quick side tangent. We were actually talking about this earlier. That ties to Mortal Kombat.
Wait, hold on. You're cutting out. You're cutting out heavy.
I said quick side tangent that the whole thing with Dragon Emperor ties into the most recent Mortal Kombat.
It does, didn't it? Does, doesn't it? Because when I was playing through, I made the connection. It's like, oh shit, I just can't remember what the connection was.
It was the army.
Oh yeah, the army, the dragon, yeah, the army of the Dragon Emperor. Yep. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Yep, that's what it was. That's what it was. I totally forgot about the army. Um, but I don't know. I feel like they definitely, if they do it, they gotta do it right. They have to base it in some level of reality. Um, in some level of reality. Of course, it has to be modern time. Um, of course, you can throw the magic and the mystical and the cryptids in and stuff like that, but it has to be. They have to set up some kind of basis beforehand. You know what I mean? They can't just be like, "Oh, we have a Wolfman movie, we have a Dracula movie, we have a Mummy movie, we have a Frankenstein movie." Why do I always feel like there was a fourth? A fifth. I feel like a lot of times people put the thing from the Black Lagoon into that group as well.
It is. I mean, technically, it's a classic monster movie, but
It's
I don't.
not. It's not in that with the werewolf, the mummy, the vampire, and the zombie essentially. And again, they got to make sure they actually have a big bad because again, these are all technically villains or monsters. They're not the good guys in their movies ever.
Uh, it's one of
Except
those.
Frankenstein. Frankenstein was innocent. It was innocent. He didn't ask to be brought back to life.
I mean, Lawrence Talbot didn't ask to get bitten. Yeah, I mean, the mummy didn't ask to get resurrected. But my whole thing is like, who's bad enough to where these guys have to do something about it? But they're gonna fight the devil.
What the fuck? Maybe it's got to be something mystical. Maybe not necessarily demonic. Maybe there's like a witch or something that's trying to turn the world to darkness and is like resurrecting zombies or some shit to take over the world or something.
I
Um,
or some kind of like maybe something else that's a different culture, like a Wendigo or a Kitsune. But yeah, like there's nothing I can think of off the top of my head that would make them do like some of it.
exactly. I don't think there's any being within that monster verse, and that I'll include Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde into that.
So
Boo. I mean, if they wanted to do it, they can actually have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde be the bad guy because again, he's supposed to be super super smart. Um, you know what I mean, and he could be. Again, they right then and there they have their since they love it, they have their sympathetic villain. Right then and there because again, he doesn't want to do evil things. It's just that when Mr. Hyde comes out, he can't control it. And that could be a nice little spin that they have there too. The bad guy, the big bad, could actually be the one that they're working with and helping, and not know it. They could be working with Doctor Jackal, but the bad guy be Mr. Hyde, and they don't know it. Nobody knows it until the end.
mm,
But again, the question now remains: what is he doing that would cause them to have to? What is the problem that they're solving? And in turn, what is their in what way are the heroes of this story connected to it? What is their drive? What is making them like, oh shit, we got to work together to do this? What is the drive for Dracula to stop fucking killing people for a little while to help out with this? What is the drive? What connects Frankenstein? Because again, he's a character that all he wants to do is be left alone to live. You know what I mean? What is it that makes this being who all he wants is solitude and isolation decide to step into the light and be a part of something? You know what I mean? What is so important that the mummy has to be resurrected? You know what I mean? And
see,
what's so strong that you need a Wolfman to help take care of it?
right. I see it being like more like 13 Ghosts type shit. Like someone gets control of them, wants to use them as weapons, and then like someone happens to liberate them, who's also a monster, maybe.
Mm. So again, I don't think I want another Dracula oriented movie, but I can see Dracula being the only one with the intelligence and cognizant ability to like be like, hold on, this is not good for all of us creatures of the night.
Or like gets
So,
captured, his bride's going on like some Charlie's Angels type shit to get him back.
mm, mm,
And let's switch gears real quick
mm,
because one thing I feel like we have not talked on at all, weaknesses.
mm. Yep, Wolfman, Silver, Dracula, Sunlight, Stakes, sometimes Silver, depending on what lord you go with. Um, Garlic, we got Frankenstein with fire. But what is the mummy's weakness? Water. I think the mummy's weakness was water. Can't get them rags wet.
Uh, it's that sticky icky.
Oh, I was about to say something real sexist. Uh, I'm good. I was about to say something super, super, super sexist. Um, but even then, no, it wouldn't have made sense because the new mummy is a man, Tom Cruise.
That's his weakness is also fire.
Yeah, technically, yeah, yep. Frankenstein, and the mummy is fire.
Um,
I would say Frankenstein is water too because the nigga can't swim. I'll be damned if I see a fucking Frankenstein swim.
Sweet Christmas.
So yeah, that would be an interesting thing as well. You
Say
know.
you get a good size hatchet, start cutting at them seams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if a bolt of lightning, but it actually technically stop as hard as Bolton's lightning would give it life. Just saying.
Yeah. Or I mean, there could be a way that because he was created by it, he could be also immune to it as well. All it could do is just give him more power.
Ah, yeah.
That would be interesting as well.
But then
Um.
when you
Oh,
over
oh, the person that's trying to get them together is none other than the one himself, Van Helsing.
yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. You had to bring Van Helsing into it.
Yeah, it would make sense. It would make sense because Van Helsing is a air quotes good guy.
According,
I That's why I said air quotes. He's the one that slays all the evil monsters of the night, right? Keeper of the night, in a way. I mean, shit. If Marvel did it, it would have to be Moon Knight be the leader, because technically that's what Moon Knight was created for in the first place. Moon Knight and the Wolfman. That was the fucking first issue of Moon Knight.
the Wolfman Night, yes.
Yeah. So, oh, have you seen Werewolf by Night in color yet?
No, I watched it in black and white.
Yeah, I want to give it another watch through in color. That'll be that's gonna be really cool. Um, but because they actually showed the blood, and that's something new with Marvel, actually showing like gruesome blood and shit, and decapitations and shit. But the way I could see it is like it would be Van Helsing that comes to that there again, maybe Van Helsing versus Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, he's the one that's trying to do some bad shit. Van Helsing needs a team, and who else to team up with besides the monsters that he's been sworn to kill?
Yeah.
And there'll be a nice little witty banter between Van Helsing and Dracula, because Van Helsing has been trying to kill him for years, but he's like, "Oh, now you've been trying to kill me for years, but you need my help now, huh? You need my help now? We could run it like Blade in the pack, Blade in the Vampire Pack, the Blood Pack,
Right.
you know, some Suicide Squad type shit. You fuck around and find out.
Yeah. We'll hope for some Suicide Squad shit. Robert will get Scooby Doo in the old school.
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me with a good time like that."
Anywho, you fucking weirdo.
Hey man, I'm just saying that was one of my favorite Scooby Doo movies when I was younger. One of them,
Two.
along with Zombie.
But you first.
I don't know. I definitely I would like that. I would find that very very interesting. Um um I don't. But again, the question is, will they be able to do it right? Will they be able to do it cohesively? Will they be able to actually follow the Marvel blueprint and build things up slowly? I don't want another bullshit like what they did. Again, I love Rise of the Beast or Beast Wars, whatever it was for Transformers. I liked it, but then with the twist at the end, spoiler alert if you guys haven't watched the new Transformers, I didn't like how they just decided just to drop G.I. Joe in at the end. Um I will like the way they have to do is that they have to make these worlds cohesive from the beginning. Make it known off the rip that these movies are connected together in some way. They have to tie them together, have at least one string holding them together. And as the movies go on, progressively add more strings that tie them together.
Listen, that's no different from the Marvel thing where Nick Fury shows up talking about, I want to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative.
It, and
That, that,
exactly in a way.
that- What?
In a way, but not like that. 'Cause I didn't like that. Again, that was only one string that was holding it all together. You know what I mean? It wasn't as cohesive. as I would have liked it to be. You know what I mean? Maybe throughout the movie, throughout the first movie, regular mentions of the other fucking people and other creatures and other characters, right off the rip, already mentioning them in there. And then the next movie, whatever that may be, also have mentioning of them in there as well. Um, you know what I mean? And then maybe in one of the movies, and then have an actual legit like another Van Helsing movie, and then in the end of the Van Helsing movie, has him be the one to like shit. Now, or maybe during the Van Helsing movie, you know what I mean? Have it end on a cliffhanger, and in the end, he's like, all right, well, fuck, we're gonna need help to get rid of this big bad. Maybe have Van Helsing lose. You know what I mean? And that's what leads into the big team up movie. And at the end of Van Helsing, the post credit scene, that's where we see him go around and have to go around and get all these monsters around and stuff like that. And that's what we see in the team up movie. The beginning of the team up movie opens up with Van Helsing, tracking down Lawrence Talbot. And we can have like a discussion between Van Helsing and Lawrence Talbot while he's in human form. And he's like, yeah, I know who you are. And Lawrence is like, who are you? Skeptical, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And that's where we end up, seeing that go into. And that the first person he recruits is Lawrence Talbot. Because again, of course, he's going to go to the people that
And
are. What was that?
once again, how is that any different from him going, my name is Gabriel Van Helsing. I want to talk to you about the Monster Initiative.
I mean, yeah. Again, yeah. We'll still have to rock with that because I don't see any other way to get around that. Again, I'm a writer, but I'm an inexperienced writer on top of that as well. So I don't see any other way around that. But again, like, we're basing it off the Marvel formula, so there's gonna be things like that. It's literally Avengers using monsters. Um, and then of course Dracula would be the last person he goes to recruit because he's the last person who wants to ask for help.
Like, oh, you want my help? Out of my castle and return my ring, Gabriel.
Exactly. Um, or that would be the thing. It's like, all right, you want my help? I want my ring back, bitch. Give me my ring back, and maybe I'll think about help. Um, we can go through the whole first half of the movie will be him tracking down each of the monsters, whatever, so on and so forth. Him going on an adventure to track down, the Frankenstein's monster and shit like that. I feel like all that would be perfect. I personally feel like that perfect for what it is. It will be a good start. You know what I mean? And of course, it will be on the writers to edit. So at its base core, it will be a fucking event. It'll be Marvel, teaming up, the Avengers team up. But it's up to the writers to make it unique.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because we see what happened. They fucked up and decided to try to use the DC formula.
Oh my God. I swear to God.
I didn't say his name. I didn't say either one of their names.
I'm just saying, you guys are bringing up this whole DC formula shit. We all understand it was a fuck up. We all understand it wasn't done well. Can we please move on?
Yeah, but and again, like they try to tie it all together with one movie, and that's aside from the Mummy being very poorly written, they try to tie it all together in one movie with bringing in Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and they just try to tie it together way too fast. That's all I'm saying. They try to tie it together way too fast. So I think that's the way I would do it. And again, that's just going off of a inexperienced writer. Um, I feel like that's the way I would do it.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, it will be interesting. It will be dope. Try to revive it. I like the idea. I like the idea of doing a shared, classic monster universe.
I mean, they're trying to do that with Godzilla. You see how that's working?
And it's going pretty good. They got I think the show's already out on Apple TV.
Oh my god,
On Earth. I
that was supposed to be rhetorical.
I know, or sarcastic. I know, but again, the original, the fucking original Godzilla movies did it.
Are we talking about the ones that are almost 100 years old? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, and those shits are still held as fucking classics and greats. Only problem is, I feel like the newer stuff, they're taking a long time by putting everything together. When fucking, what is it, Toho? Those are the creators, the creators of Godzilla. They just say, boom, here's Godzilla, and there's a bunch of shit, a ton of other monsters in here as well. And it's like, I feel like the Godzilla movies they're trying to be slick by creating all these other, by sliding in hints of all these other monsters. But motherfucker, we already know. You already know. Pull the curtain. Pull the curtain already. We already know what's underneath the curtain. Open the door. We already know. We already know what's behind door number 1. Just open the door. Just open the floodgates. But again, they already did it. It was already done, and that's also probably why this is also getting a little like monotonous and they're dragging it because it was already done. They already do it. They already did it. They had standalone Mothra movies, of course, standalone Godzilla movies. They had standalone. They actually just released a Gamera TV series on Netflix. So like they already did standalone stuff back in the day that were a part of a shared universe. So again, I just feel like what was it, Legendary? Yeah, Legendary, they're just doing it real slow. A little too slow.
Mm.
Yeah. Like they fucked up with the first Godzilla movie. It was like, it was more human than Godzilla. But again, people were shitting on that. But at the same time, if you look at the old movies, we got a lot of that too. The old movies got a lot of humans trying to take down the monster. We see more human than we do Godzilla. And that just goes back to the whole original premise of the reason why Godzilla was made. Godzilla was made as a cautionary tale to the atomic experiments that are being done. The whole point is we're watching the humans deal with the result of their mistakes, deal with the consequences of their mistakes.
Mm-hmm. The giant gecko and the giant monkey.
Not to mention the other monsters, giant fucking moth.
Oh yes, let's not forget the moth. Oh,
Now, let's not forget the 3-headed alien dragon. Actually, he's
no,
not even an alien. He's from a different dimension. A whole
good
nother.
door.
Mm-hmm. That's not to mention fucking the actual alien creatures that pop up. Like fucking fuck, what is his name? What is his name? What is his name? Why am I forgetting his name? He's one of my actually favorite alien characters. The one with the fucking there were twins. There was one with the fucking scythe hands, and there was one with the fucking kind of chainsaws for hands with the chainsaw in the chest.
I don't know who you're talking about at all.
Fucking, he has like the one eye, and he has like the hook blade on his on his head. God damn. My grandfather loved watching these movies. I used to sit down and watch them when I was younger all the time. But yeah, there was those two aliens, and then we got fucking Gamera is a mutated giant ass turtle. He literally has jets, and he flies around inside of his shell.
Stephen King, is it?
What was that?
What's the turtle's name?
Gamera.
Yes. So I'm sorry. I always forget Stephen King had a hand to do with that because in the Stephen King verse, the turtle is the ultimate good because how Pennywise is the ultimate evil.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Oh man. Oh wow. Yeah, I forgot. I always forget about the fucking turtle.
Yes, because the Stephen King verse never says exactly was supposed to be on the turtle's back.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was on the turtle's back or if the turtle was the guardian to the tower. It was one of those two.
I don't know. Either way, Stephen King was definitely on drugs when he wrote all his books.
I'm not sure how he couldn't have been on caffeine low. He had to he somewhere something that dick time alarm off.
Whoa, bro! You're cutting out so bad. All I hear was caffeine low, sucking dick. What the hell are you talking about? You were
Oh,
cutting so hard.
God, what I said was he was somewhere and he couldn't be in a caffeine high or sugar low. He had to be somewhere sucking that glass pipe out there, sucking that glass dick tying his arm off. Like why that shit? Why'd that have to go so far left so quickly? He had to be snorting a mountain of white woman to get to his book. He's out there popping Adderall at their skills.
Just okay. So only reason I say that is because one, how rapidly he's able to pump out these books.
Maybe he's just creative.
Okay, but I will go on. How fast he pumps out the books, right? The topics and subjects that are within the books, you read them shits, and it's literally like it's just like you're on a trip. It's like you're on a trip.
Okay, all right.
I'm just saying, who the fuck else is gonna think of a story about a killer clown from outer space whose mortal enemy is a fucking turtle?
R.L. Stein.
Honestly, yeah, he worries me sometimes too. Fucking Say Cheese and Died. That his books were them Goosebumps books are a little wild.
Haunted Math.
What was that? Yeah, the Haunted Mask shit. Yeah, no, that was definitely a nightmare. That was definitely a fever dream that he had. That was him writing that book was his way of coping with the nightmare.
Shit.
I feel like R.L. Stein's books are pretty much his dream journal.
He said his dream journal.
Yep, and Stephen King's books are his fucking is his trip journal. Every time he goes on a trip, he writes down everything that he tripped about, that he saw when he was tripping.
I mean, if that's what you want to associate all that together.
Yeah, but again, these niggas make mad money. They make mad money off of these shits. But yeah, no. Ladies and gentlemen, all level sevens. With that being said, yeah, that is our show for today. This concludes our. Oh wait.
Our Spooktober light up.
I feel like that screams so fucking real.
Wow.
Yeah.
That bitch dead. She dead.
Yeah, she dead. She got struck by lightning.
Dead. She's super dead.
But yeah, any final words for the people?
The beast will out. The beast will out. Set it free. And remember, to all my creatures of the night, may you forever run free under the moon's pale light.
Yes. Words to live by. For me, my final words to the people and them is, to be honest, you hear something going bump in the night, don't go looking. Don't go looking. Because in the end, you might just end up with a nasty bite. Might end up with a nasty bite. Or you might end up missing an arm. or a leg. Or depending if she's a little freaky, might be missing your penis when you wake up. What is, if it goes bump in the night, stay the fuck away from it. And also, always remember,
Fuck crack time.
Crap time.
we'll see you next week. We have no clue what the fuck we're doing next week, so pay attention to our Instagram, our Facebook. We will be posting up our next lineup for November. And remember, everyone, please like, comment, follow, subscribe, and share. Let your people know what we do. We love it. We love y'all. We love y'all. This has been an awesome show. It's been super fun. And again, like you said, Jeff, for a little while due to personal issues. So again, tune in for us. And pretty soon you're loving your prayers out. Love you guys. A Super Breakdown production. Follow us at The Super Breakdown on all social media. Thank you. Thank you. Peace.